Good evening, everyone. First of all, welcome to the second part of WD Gann trading techniques. In the first video, we had specifically seen the Gann emblem. That was the first thing that we studied. We studied the 190-day cycle. So in a season, if we divide that all together into four parts as per the seasons which are there, so we get every season which is of 90 days. So these are 90-day cycle which are been represented by a square. So square has four sides. So this is the first side of first 90 days, second side of next 90 days. So that makes it 180 days, and this is the next 180 days. So altogether, this forms 360 degrees, and every season, as I told you, it is of 90 days. So you'll be finding every change of season which is there, new cycle to be beginning, or a new cycle which is, or an old cycle which has ended, especially at that part, right? So cycles can be of two types. One is the 90-day cycle, right? As we have shown in the form of score, or it can be also in the form of a triangle which represents 120 days, right? So this is the first thing that we have seen. We had also seen squaring of time and price. Now, what is squaring of time and price precisely is, let's take with that example. Right. So what we had seen is, we have specifically then seen this cycle which was there. Uh, these yellow line is the high. So we start from this day, we get a high, another high which is there after 91 days. So if we are getting highs after 90 days, that is completion of one cycle. So generally for squaring of time, it should be again going down by 45 days. That is 50% of the time which is there. So high to high, considering 91 days, half of that in terms of time, it comes down to 45 days. So it should be coming down by 45 days also. And what we see in the form of this uh, yellow to yellow line is, starting from this part, it has been somewhere around 49 days where we got a low. So this was the first thing. Second is, we also got a confirmation in the form of uh, Fibonacci, that okay, starting from this point coming down to the low point over here, then we got a range and we got a retracement which was just about 0.236 level, and from here it did come down to a level of 1.272, which was this below point, right? So everything is already been marked. You can go through the previous video number 1 of WD Gann trading techniques, so you'll come to know and identify the details put down over there. So as we told, we have studied about two parts, and basically this chapter will be covering more of doubts that people have raised. Now many of the people were asking doubts that why don't you tell us few of the things which are there from the books. So today we'll be studying about the book by WD Gann, which is The Tunnel Through the Air, or Looking Back from 1940, which is again there by WD Gann, right? Now first and most important thing is, this book was been written in 1927, and he has predicted many of the things to be happening in the future. Let's say starting from 1927 onwards till 1932, right? I have done one thing from my side. Just made an Excel sheet where most of the things have been mentioned. So probably this would be helpful for us for various points together, right? So as I told you, first thing is 1927 is when the book was been written and published, and this book is absolutely available for free of cost. If you go on the internet, probably you'll be able to find that this book is not to be sold. This is educational, free educational service in the public interest, published by Gann Study Group, right? So the first and most important thing that he writes is, you need to read this book continuously, maybe for 2 or 3 times, right? When you read it the third time, a new light will dawn. You will find the hidden secret, the wheeling meaning, and will understand why the Bible says, seeks and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. Right. So these are one of the things that Khan says, because most of the people are not able to understand what is given in the book the very first time. I was also not able to find out, so I had to read this almost 3 times together with Bible, and then probably I was able to do certain of the interpretations which are there in the book, which I did understand. Oh, Robert Gordon's 7 days will no longer be a mystery because you will have gained understanding, right? So these are the things, some of the things which he has put down from his side together, right? Now there are various things which have been put down into the book. First is in the form of a prediction, which is there, which was by his mother. Uh, yep, this is the prediction. He says, a few nights before you were born, I had a very strange dream. I thought I saw San Francisco and Los Angeles destroyed in 2 days by some war machine, and that one of my sons came near losing his life there, but was saved, and afterwards he saved his country and made peace with the world. I suppose I dreamt about San Francisco because Herbert lost his life there, but somehow I feel that it was more than a dream and that you are born to be a peacemaker. So this was something which probably had his mother had a dream, and this does happen in the future as he grows. So this was when he was very small. Let's go through the further things which are there, interpretations, right? So this was the first prediction which had come down, his mother's dream, and there are various predictions which are there. Let's go to page number 41. Page number 41 of the book. And we're just trying to see some of the things which are there. Here he says he had figured out from Bible that a time of trouble, such as the World War has never seen before, will begin in 1927 and will continue until 1932. Now, this is the first thing which is there. If you count in terms of numbers of years which is there, starting from 1927, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. This makes around 6 years which are there. Now, why this is 6 years and how does that come to into the calculation probably is given in the next parts, which is there, comes to page number 52. So the most important thing about this book is it talks more about in a scientific way, and it talks and discusses about the cycles which are there. Cycles is a prime focus which has been given in this book. We'll see this and also see where these cycles have been given. So this is chapter 5, and yep, here it comes. Robert thought he saw in this the coming war and famine on the earth from the cycle that a greater portion of the earth would be destroyed by war. So these are few of the things. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month. So here is talking about 6 years, as we have seen from the previous part. It started somewhere around 1927. It was 1927 to 32, which comes to around 6 years. And probably this is where he got the interpretation from. This is from Ezekiel, which he has mentioned, right? So this is something which has been given in the book, and this is how he was able to predict for the things which are there. Then he talks about various other things. Page number 55. Yeah, page number 55. So it talks about various things, and it came to pass in the 12th year, in the 12th month, in the first day of the month. So he is again trying to interpret something which is maybe in terms of a 12-year cycle, which is there. So every now and then in the future, you'll be finding about various things which is there, right? He has done a detailed study which was talking about repetitions of previous battles, page number 56, right? From these predictions of Ezekiel and others in the Bible, which Robert believed was a repetition of previous battles, he interpreted it to be mean that there was to be a great flood come during the year 1927. He predicted terrible floods along the Mississippi Valley, which would destroy the cotton crops and would lay waste vast acres of fertile land. He wrote that it will be one of the greatest floods in history. So this is again few of the interpretations which are there, probably written in Ezekiel 37, 7, 32, 7. Probably anyone who is interested in finding out the details can just go to those chapters of the book. Uh, Page number 62. So this is page number 62. page number 62. Keto cycle. Okay, fine. Uh, After he had worked out his cycle theory according to the Bible and decided that he would forecast the markets and make money. So he's again taking interpretations of the Bible, telling that, okay, this is as per the cycles which are there. Yep. I find out in it the key to all prophecy, the rules foretelling the event in the history of the country, the progress in invention, and also rules for forecasting the future of stocks and commodities. Right? I've been reading some books and studying commodities and stocks and have applied the rules as I understand them from the Bible. So again, he's taking interpretations from Bibles, but not only that, he has read various books which are there, which are pertaining to commodities as well as stocks. And then he had come down to certain conclusions from this side. From the teachings of the Bibles and the methods which I have worked out, I feel confident that the price of cotton is going to very high in spring. So these are his interpretations which are there. We will see this completely in terms and in details when we go through the cotton cycle which is there, right? So just to brief about few of the things, his friend is there. Robert is the person who is the protagonist in this book. Uh, there is one person by the name of, what's his friend's name? Walter. So his friend is there. These are school friends. Uh, and there is one by the name of Mr. Kellinworth, who is father of Walter. So Robert, second is Walter, and Walter's father, that is Mr. Kellinworth. So these are three important people in the book. And as I told you, cotton will take that separately, where we'll be able to discuss in details. One more prophecy that he has talked about is page number 69. We will come down to page number 69. We'll come down to this details also. Let's just see that page number 69. Right, this is an interesting story. This is from the book of Jonah. I've read the book of Jonah through very carefully, and I believe that I understand what the Savior meant when he said, "No sign shall be given but the sign of the prophet Jonas." Now, what is the story about is, for as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights into the heart of the earth. Right? Uh, Now, how do we relate in terms of the stock market? What he says is, I believe that is a sign to the interpretation of the future. I am sure I have found it and known how to apply it. Right? So what he says is, I believe there was a secret meaning in what he said, that the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. I believe that a person who understands the meaning of that has all the power under heaven and earth, as the Bible says he shall have. Right? So it's basically talking about 3 days, 3 nights. We'll consider that as 3 trading days and try to interpret what exactly he's trying to say. Right? So let's try to take some examples. Now, what does the 3 days and 3 nights means, right? Let's say, let's try to interpret through this example. So this was the all-time high that we had. And after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is almost 3 continuous days. We had seen one direction which was been coming, right? Again, it was when it was going up, we had 1, 2, 3 days, which was continuously going up in one direction, right? So again, when it was coming down, it was 1, 2, 3 continuous days when it was coming down, right? Again, over here, if you see 1, 2, 3 continuous days, which was going down. When it was going up, it was 1, 2, 3 continuous days, which it was going up, right? And again, when it is coming down, it is 1, 2, 3 continuous days, which is there. So probably in the market, in terms of interpretations for the market, what we understand is we are seeing that if the direction of the market from any low and high is there for 3 continuous days, then probably we can say that the market is moving in that direction, right? Let's say this was our low, which was there of 2020, the last bear cycle where it ended. So again, if we see this first day, second day, third day, we see 3 continuous days where the market is moving in one direction, right? Here also 3 continuous days where the market is moving down in one direction. And again, if you see from the top, probably this level, 1, 2, 3 continuous days when the market was moving down. And again over here, 1, 2, 3, 4 continuous days where the market is moving down. So this gives us some kind of signal that probably the market is now moving down or probably moving up, right? So we saw this for the downfall. Let's try to see for the upfall also, probably over here, 1, 2, 3 continuous days, 1, 2, 3 continuous days, it is moving up. At the bottom, if we see, probably 1, 2, 3 continuous days where it is trying to move up. From the top, again, 1, 2, 3 continuous days where it is moving down, right? So there are like a number of cycles accordingly happening over here, where it gives us an interpretation that, yeah, this has been happening or probably moving in that direction accordingly, right? So here also, if you see from the reversal, probably we had 1, 2, 3 continuous days, 1, 2, 3 continuous days, which gives us a signal that, okay, the market is now going in that particular direction. Going down again, 1, 2, 3 continuous days, which you see that, okay, it has been moving down, right? So probably this is an interpretation that we are able to see, right? From the low, 1, 2, 3 days, probably. In terms of high, if we see, yes, this is just high about that point. So we can say that, okay, this is an high, right? So this is what we interpret from our side in terms of what has been said by Jonas in the book of Jonas, right? Before that, we just missed something. I'd like to go to that also because that is something critical as important for just to understand and to know the interpretations. Right. So this is a letter which has been given by, first of all, Robert to Kellenberg. And on that, he got a reply from Mr. Kellenberg telling that, okay, this is something like gambling because he already lost his money. So what Robert writes as a reply is, he says, I already know that there are many pitfalls in the game of speculation, but if it can be made a science and followed accordingly to the rules laid down in the Bible, success and profit are sure. Right. So he says that the stock market is nothing but a science, and we need to follow certain rules which are there. Then only you will be able to succeed. Right. So he just gives a quote from Sir William Crookes, which said, to stop short in any research which bids fair to widen the gates of knowledge, to recoil from fear of difficulties or adverse criticism is to bring a reproach upon science. So this is what is being said. Probably he's just trying to support what he's saying, right? Now talking about the July cycles, cotton cycles, which are there specifically, I have already made arrangement to send my money to a broker in New York and have today bought 200 bales of July at 1380. Right? Now, what is this 1380 and when did he buy that? So this letter was there on 24th of January. Right? So in terms of interpretations, so 24th of January is when he had bought, or let me put down in some other color so that we are able to interpret that. I'll put down blue color. Right? So he bought what? 200 bales and he had somewhere around $1,000 odd. So his investment was around 1,000. Let me just check down one small thing. Just need to confirm that the recording is happening, nothing more than that. So recording is happening. Okay, cool. Right. So on 24th of January, he bought 200 bills at a price of 13.8. This for July series, and his investment was around 1,000 US dollars. Right. So this is what has been written in the letter. been given as per the book. 200 bills, July cotton at 13.8, which is the rate which has been given, right? And he further requests Mr. Kellingworth that he should also be buying accordingly. So this must be given further in the letter, right? And no sign should be given. We've already seen this. On the same night, January 24th, after Robert had received a telegram from his broker in New York, stating that he has bought 200 bales of July cotton at 13 point. Robert figured that it would margin him to 12.8. He was sure from the studies that July cotton would not decline to 13.25. So probably 13 or 13.2 was his stop loss, which we can accordingly say. Now, one more character which is there is Mary, who happens to be his girlfriend. So he tells Mary that he has bought 200 bills, July cotton 13.8, and put up a margin of $1,000 on that. So she's also very excited that Robert has some kind of confidence that way. That's why he has invested that money. And further, he says about various things to Mr. Kellingworth. And now Kellingworth is also interested, and that's why he's also been investing his money into that. So, talking about a very important chapter, which is in terms of the cycles which are there, I'll request everyone to pay special attention over here, right? So we had come down to this future cycle, which is chapter number 8, right? I'll just like to quickly go through this chapter. In making my predictions, I use geometry and mathematics just as the astronomers does, based on immutable laws. I am a believer in the Bible. It is the most wonderful book ever written, a book of science, philosophy, and religion. So again, he is trying to say that it is more about science. I claim that all scientific laws are laid down in the Bible if a person knows where to find them. So it's more important that we need to know exactly what is to be found out, right? Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and we shall find. Knock, and it shall be open unto you. I hold that the Bible contains the key to the process by which man may know all there is to know of the future, if we will only seek diligently for the rules laid down in the Holy Book. My calculations are based on cycle theory and on mathematical sequences. History repeats itself. That is what I have always contended. That in order to know and predict the future of anything, you only have to look up what has happened in the past and get a correct base or starting point. So he is talking about two important things, which is that one is talking about the cycles which have happened in the past, and second thing is you need to know the correct point, right? Now, how do we find out the correct point, right? If you see in terms of our cycles which are there, let's say we take up the bull and bear cycle, and what we have interpreted from our side in the bull and bear cycle accordingly, right? So what we did is we first of all, for the entire bull cycle, we made a range starting from 0 to 1 and we tried to get a retracement. So this was there for all the bull cycles which are there starting from 2008 to 2004 to 2008, 2008 to 2012, 2012 to 2016 and 2016 to 2020, right? So what we have seen in this cycle is we get a retracement either at 0.236 level, right? As seen in this first cycle, so 0 to 1, and we get a retracement which is here nearer to 0.236. Second cycle, we get a retracement which is almost to 0.5 levels, right? And again, the third cycle, we get a retracement which is again at a level of 0.5, right? And in the fourth cycle, we get a retracement which is there to 0.236. So ideally, this is the best point where we'll be able to invest. So we need to be very cautious for that and see if it has been reversing from that point of not, right? But probably on the basis of cycles, we are able to interpret those things and have maximum profits. So that's why again, as I repeated, probably I'd like to repeat again that okay, it is from the cycles which have happened in the past. That is the first thing that he says, right? And get a correct base or starting point. Both the things are important, right? So until unless we know a starting point, things would be much more easier for us to understand, right? My authority for stating that the Bible, that the future is but a repetition of the past is found in the Bible, right? So it talks about various things together, which is there. This makes it plain that everything works according to past cycles and that history repeats itself in lives of men, nations, and stock market. Right. So here he has again tried to give some various examples, and in making my calculations on the stock market or any future event, I get the past history and find out what cycles are in and then predict the curve for the future, which is a repetition of past market movements. The great law of vibration is based on like producing like. Like causes produce like effects. Wireless technology, telegraphy, the phonography, and the radios are based on the law. The limit of future prediction based on exact mathematical law is only restricted by lack of knowledge of current data and past history to work from. It is just as easy to figure 1,000 years or 100 years or 1,000 years in the future as 1 or 2 years ahead if you have the correct starting point and know the cycle which is going to be repeated. Now, what he talks about here is in terms of the law of vibration is this is law of vibration as per my understanding is nothing more than the sinusoidal wave which is there. Now, what happens in the sinusoidal wave is you go, you make a high, you come back, again make a low, high, low, high, low. Only thing is the sinusoidal which is wave which is there, it is there in a range bound way. Here we are making a high, we are making a low, again we are making a higher high, low, right? Probably in terms of this way. So you find out a low, you get a high, again we get a low, again we get a high, low, high, low, high, low. But this is more of somewhere around in descending way where it progresses further, right? So that is what we interpret as law of vibration. There is a different book of law of vibration which is there. Probably you can Google out and find out that book also and read that if it is of any interest to you. Again, he is talking about to have the correct starting point. A few years ago, even scientific men, not alone the public, would have laughed at such a thing and refused to believe it. But mathematical science, which is the only real science that the entire civilized world has agreed upon, furnishes unmistakable proof of history repeating itself and shows that the cycle theory or harmonic analysis is the only thing that we can rely upon to ascertain the future. Some not about this article. Again, it talks about various cycles, right? There is no new thing under the sun, but that we simply recorrect the old ones. How do I forecast future cycles? You may ask. In order to forecast future cycles, the most important thing is to begin right. For if we have the right beginning, we will get the right ending. Right? I've always looked for causes, and when once I determine a cause, I can always be sure of the effect or future event which I predict. It is not my aim to explain the causes of cycle. The general public is not yet ready for it and probably would not understand or believe if I explain. So this is something which is marked in blue, which is unexplained in the book or any of his philosophies. So he says that okay, the cycles, why that is the cause. Maybe probably you have identified that, but he is not willing to share that. But he says that okay, fine, I'll share with you the rest of the things which are there, which is probably very good for us. In every law of nature, there is a major and a minor, a positive, a negative, and a neutral. Therefore, in cycles, there must be a lesser, a greater, and intermediate cycle, or cycles within cycles, like Ezekiel says, wheel within a wheel. So, this is something which is important to understand that there are cycles within the cycle. There are small cycles, big cycles, which are there, right? Cycles in terms of time. Time is the greatest factor that proves all things. The measurement of time first originated and is based on Earth's motion around its axis. So this is something talking about 24 hours of a day. One of the smallest cycles of time factor which repeats regularly in things that are very active and have a high vibration is the 4 minute cycle. Now, how does this 4 minute cycle comes into existence, right? Every day has 24 hours. So if we multiply that by 60 in terms of seconds, which is there, so that would be as a cycle of 360 degrees. And if we divide that together by 360, the number of seconds, so we get every degree coming to 4 minutes. So you can just do the calculations together and you'll find out the exact things. right? So that is 24 hours into 60 minutes. That is 144440. And if we divide by 360, you get 4 minutes, which is the reason for this is that the Earth moves 1 degree every 4 minutes, right? That's how the interpretation is, and that's why he talks about the 4 minute cycle, right? The next cycle is 24 hours, the complete time required for the Earth to make one revolution upon its axis. This is how man measured his cycle of a day. The next important cycle is 1 year, the time required for the Earth to move around the sun. This brings about the 4 seasons of the year. These are the minor cycles. Now, this is where he talks about the minor cycles, which is our favorite part, that is the 90 days cycle. So, this can be 90 days cycle or 120 days cycle. So, probably I've answered some of the questions which people are asking, how did you get this 90-day cycle and 120-day cycle? Probably this have been mentioned in the book over here, right? The major cycle runs in 100 and 500 years within variation based on the minor cycles. In order to be sure of world events and important changes, it is necessary to go back at least 1,000 years and prove up the cycles. We find ample proof to the 1,000-year cycles in the Bible, right? So these are various things which have been put down. Again, he talks about 1,000-year cycles. What would be of interest to us is currently the 100-year cycle, which is there. So let's read that. What proof of the 100-year cycle we get from 100 years ago and what has happened in the past few years. So let's say somewhere around in 1814, 1882, there was something called as yellow fever. So this was again the same time period that we had, right? Then in 19, 1922, China and Russia were both suffering from famines, another proof of 100-year cycle, right? So again, same kind of things have been happening. And if we see again in next 100 years after that, which is 20019 to 2022, we had again had pandemic. So it was again somewhere around something to do in line with the 100-year cycle, right? So we have seen about this, the cycles which are there. And we come down to page number 90 now. Let's see the actual deals which have been done and how they have been interpreted in the book. He's talking about cycle of transportation. Again, he gives various examples of cycle of transportation, how the advancement happened in transportation, starting from the rail to the plane and rest of the tips, and also including ships. So here he's talking about 500-year cycle, 100-year cycles also in that part. Rest of the details, you can just read the book again and probably try to interpret that. Right, so we are talking somewhere around the 90 days cycle. Page number 90, our buying and selling part. Right, so as we see, he is now requesting Mr. Kellenworth that he should be also buying something. If you would like to buy some July or October cotton right now and hold it, you will make a lot of profit. This is just to show your faith in me. Buy at least 100 bills. This is what he has been requesting, and that you'll be also able to make some profits. So this was somewhere around February 1st, where Mr. Kellenworth has replied to Robert. He's telling, dear Mr. Robert, I have bought 500 bales of July cotton at 13.7 as I telegraphed my broker in New York today. So today is 1st February. So let's see what happens on 1st of February. So 1st February, 500 bales have been bought by Mr. Killingworth, right? So his capital is different, but irrespective of that, let's try to get more of into the details now, one by one. So again, he had informed this to Mary, and Mary had also got some amount with her, and she told Robert that I'm sharing this amount with you, and that amount thing. So she had somewhere around $400 with her, and that she had given it to Robert to invest into the market on her behalf. So after that, what happened is on March 2nd, July cotton has advanced to 14.8. So this was March 2nd. We'll see in terms of dates. So 2nd of March, we had a high which was there of 14.8, right? So this had come almost around after 37 days. In terms of calculations, I've done these calculations is just subtracting the second date from the first date. That is 2nd March from 21st of March. It gives me somewhere around 37 days, right? So this is a low to high cycle, which is there. And at that time, Robert had a profit of $1,000, so it was almost doubled his money. And Mr. Kellingworth has a profit of 2,500. March was the month to bring disappointment to Robert. Cotton started to decline, and by the middle of month, I had declined to around 13.75, wiping out all Roberts and Mr. Kellingworth's profit, but still leaving their profit intact. So we see that okay, on somewhere around 15th of March, we had a low of 13.75, and if we consider the low to low cycle, this is somewhere around 50 days. So this 50 days is starting from 24th of January to 15th of March. So as we seen over here that 15th of March, it was a low which was being made somewhere around 50 days. So after that, started to decline 13.75. So their buying was almost above that or nearer to that point. It was 13.8 and 13.7, which has been mentioned at both the points, 13.8 and 13.7. Sorry, because the share was installed. It just comes on this once again. So as we have seen, 13.7 was the low which was then made over that, and this low happened somewhere around 15th of March, right? So after that, what are the things which happened is they did hold on to those things together, and they bought 100 bills, July cotton at they took Mary's money, and as I told you, Mary did share around $400 with him. I'm sending it to you. So I have now $400. I'm sending it to you. So with that money, again, he bought sort of around 100 bills of July cotton at 13.9. And the market was advancing, and this was on 17th of March. I haven't marked this, but yeah, probably around the low levels which are there. And further after that, on April 20th, a flood started in Mississippi, and as he has predicted that the flood would be starting. So July reaching 15.4 by April 25th. So let's see if we have mentioned this April 25th. No, we had come down to the high part after that. So we have to just see these numbers and probably go on to the further part. So a number of things have been happening after that. Where are we to now? So this has come down to page number 128. 28th May and 10th of June. 28th of May. So the 1st of May, and we'll go down further. This is 7th of May, given in the book. Probably is making more profits after that. The capital is going on increasing. 8th of May. On May 29, July cotton was again up around 16 cents level. Robert felt that now you have the time to start buying wheat and corn. So he has started buying wheat and corn. We have taken that cycle separately, right? So as I told you, he has put down wheat on 19th of May, 1.28 thousand for Robert, and corn was somewhere around 19th of May, 0.92 thousand for Robert. Right, so these three tools are there which have been marked over here just for ease of understanding how things have been working for him and what he has been doing during that time. Because he had margins till now. So as it given 1000 July wheat 1.38 from 385 and 1000 July corn at 92 cents, which we have mentioned over there and marked. Let's go further. Again, Mr. Killingworth has also purchased that. May 21st was the red day in the life of Robert Gordon, wheat, pork and cow all advanced to the highest level of the season. Right? So this was coming to somewhere around nearer to 28th of May. So we'll have coming to that cycle also. So everyone is happy that it would be going up further. And 31st. So we have somewhere around 22nd. And if we go to the further dates, we'll be getting all the details here. During the week ending May 20th, Robert watched the market very closely because he figured out that wheat and corn would be top around 28th May. He wanted to sell out and get profit so that he would be able to go to New York. Cotton advanced to the highest level that week on Saturday, 16.4. So 28th of May is written over here. It will go to 16.4. So we'll also see that in terms of just the colors. And if you see this in terms of, this is a high which is there. So I mentioned a high. Right. So if you see this high, this has come down to somewhere around from the low part. Low of 24th of January to 28th of May. This is somewhere around 124 days. Right. And 124 days in total. Right. And after that, what happened is on 10th. We are still waiting, probably booked some profits for his own account, not for Mary, and he has made a profit of around 2,300. Stock profits gave him around 6,000. So Mary's account still was there and he was making good profit. Robert had put had a profit of over 3,000 in the cotton. So the invested amount was 1,000 and the profits that he has earned till now was 3,000. So his almost capital has given him a return of 3x, which is there. Right? Given in the book. Probably this was 120-day cycle. And let's see about few of our cycles. But this is just for interpretation purpose because I had traded one of the cycles which was there. So one of the cycles which was there, it started somewhere around on 20th of August. So what I did from my side is show this in the Telegram group. That would be easier for us to understand. Because I didn't buy it on 28th of August. I buy it somewhere around nearer to that part. don't have the exact details of 20th of August, but if somewhere around nearby, I will try to give you the details. Ah, so this was bought on 23rd of August and 24th of August, right? So this were different lots which have been bought, and from this 23rd, it had gone almost to 223, and from 223, it went further up to 220, 234. So from 23, it had added a zero, and I got 234, almost 235 to be precise, and I got almost 10x returns on those parts, right? So why I'm showing this part to you is probably uh, I'll just tell that to you. So as I told you, yes, Robert has made a profit somewhere around 3x. So this has been Gina 1 year, right? And probably Mr. Kellenworth told that he has been buying more corn on the way up and more cotton. That he now had a profit of around 25,000 on what is because of Robert's advice. So Mr. Kellenworth was also making good profits together, right? And Mary's profits. Let's see about Mary's profit also. So Mary had also somewhere around good and handsome profits. So as per my understanding, Mary's profits were almost 10x because he sold it at a later stage. That he has figured out according to the theory cycle. Cotton should be sold around at June 1st. Purple sold profits around this, and probably before this. Made a profit of around 20,000, 2,000, brought capital around 9,000. And Robert did message that he had made over 4,000 for Mary on her little capital of 4,000. So from 4,400, it went up to almost 4,000. So that is almost around 10x. And as I told you, yes, this is very much practically possible because I've also made that kind of profits in a very short time. So from 23, it went up to 234. So this is something not only what Mr. Gann has given in his book, but probably in terms of the cycles, I have also went across through the cycles and I have also made that money. So this was the 120-day cycle starting from 22nd of April. So from this part to 20th of August, this was 120 days. So I went for the next cycle of 120 days, and probably around 23rd, 24th of August, I had bought somewhere around for those things. And while it was going up, I had made those profits for me. Right? Let's go to the book further. Uh, uh, what we are talking about is we are talking about the low parts. Uh, on June 1st, Robert sold out his July cotton at 16.8. Where is our book? So we go around this. So we are waiting somewhere around for 10th of June, right? So let's figure out uh, if the dates have been given around here. It is on page number 195. The 1st of June, it was 16.8. From where it started further going up. So these have not been given over here. Probably we need to go to the next pages. Uh, 195. The chapters in between are not that important. Uh, After Robert had sold out his October cotton at 17.3, his December cotton at 17.5, on 10th June. So on so probably this is somewhere around December quarter which has been given, but the dates are important for us that it is 10th of June, right? Um, 10th of June was again a high. So we'll see about this 10th of June. It was a high of 17.5. Now we won't be considering this price which is there, that is important, but the high which was there of 10th of June, right? So 10th of June makes around what? If we start from the high part, we're not talking about the low, the high which was there of 2nd of March to high of 10th of June. So this gives us somewhere around 100 days, right? Now what we have interpreted from our previous cycle is if something is going high for a specific time period of days, here it is around 100 days, right? That we have seen our cycle from this yellow line to this yellow line. So if this high to high is 91 days, if we compare that for 100 days over the book which has been given, so you should be getting a return somewhere around for 15 days. So that is more of a reversal which is there. So 100 days high would give us 50 days down also. So let's see if we are getting able to get some low which is there over here. So here it says that okay, after 59 days there was a low somewhere around on 8th of August. Let's try to see this low. The book that is there. So he figured out that it has been making a high, low, and there would be a decline. Decline followed as he expected on 30th of July. He sold 500 more December. 6th of August, he bought 1000 Decembers and 17.4 to cover up his short. He figured that the government report on 8th of August would be very bullish and that cotton would go up very fast and continue until around 8th, 5th of September and 6th of September until the government report in September. On August 6, he bought 1000 December at 17.35 and August 8, he bought 500 December at 17.3. So 17.3 was a low which was there for 8th of August, right? So we have 8th of August, which was again in terms of a low, and this low was there of 17.3 days, right? So if you see from the number of days which have been given, right? So that comes to around 59 days. Right. So this is again from the high, which is there of 10th of June. So 10th of June to 8th of August is around 59 days as per the calculations which are there. So high to high, we had a calculation of 100 days and we had a low which was coming around to 59 days, right? And after that, again, if we see from the high, which is there, the high day was 10th of June. We got another high which was there on 8th of September, right? Something which just come from. Yep. So if we consider this high to high, which is there from 10th of June to 8th of September, this comes around 90 days. Let's find out this August. And from August, we had somewhere around from the low, it started going up. A big decline followed, and on August 13, we bought 1000 December, October 19.1, which was above this high. We started it to pyramid on the way up. On account, we started it to pyramid. On 19th August, he bought 500 more at 20.1. So this is again above his buying price of the previous one, which is 17.3 on 8th of August. So from there it went to 20.3, from 20.3, 20.1, 21.1, 22.3, 27th of August, 29th of August. And on September 8, he sold 2,800 bills of December at 20.3. 20.4 and 20.5 short account, right? So this was the high that we got around those days. And on September 9th, he sold 500 more, December at 2.3. September 17th, sold 35, 22.3. So it was from this point that it started moving back. So that was 8th of September. And as we were told you, 8th of September was the high. And from the high to high date, it was somewhere around 90 days. So again, we get a cycle from high of 17.5, which was on 10th of December, to September 8th, which was another high, and that gives a calculation of 90 days. So again, it is some kind of proof which is there that the cycles which are there, first of all, it is for 120 days, which is there. If it goes high for 100 days, we get a reversal, which is again coming back to 59 days. And high to high cycle, again, if we consider, that comes to 90 days. So as we saw in our book and also in the Gann emblem, that there is a 90-day cycle. So the high to high cycle which was there, as we saw in the book, it was for 90 days, right? Which was there from a high of 10th of June to high of 8th of September. So it was June to July, July to August, August to September, 90-day cycle. So that's why those two things have been done. And probably rest of the parts, what we can do from our side is we'll continue this in the next chapter. At this stage, probably we should just stop over here. Thank you, everyone. We'll meet in the next chapter.